Welcome everybody to Talladega Superspeedway. My name's Josh Hall. This is the Original Rebels Racing League Grand National Series here from Talladega Superspeedway. We want to welcome everybody, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, and we are back on Twitch. I want to thank everybody for joining in here tonight as we get ready for 50 laps around this famed 2.66 mile superspeedway here in Talladega, Alabama. Right now we see Mike Kosick, the fastest on the leaderboards. We got this big group of cars, drafted around this big track. And one interesting thing about Talladega, everybody always mentions it, is the position of the start-finish line. It's not in, we got them wrecking right now in practice. But the start-finish line is not where you think it would be. It's not in the middle of the tri-oval. It's actually down just past the just past the tri-oval. See if I can find somebody else. Somebody's spinning through pit road, but there's the start-finish line right there. So it makes it a little more challenging. The race to the flag always tends to be a little more exciting here at Talladega than most other tracks. So we have about 2.5 minutes left before practice gets done here. Let's take a look at our points coming into tonight. And Eddie Smith currently at the top of the leaderboard. Charles Stevens, sitting back in second place. Mike Kosick in third. Jonah Colbert and Brandon Wallace round out your top five. And Daniel Cunningham back in sixth. Jonathan Cofield to win at Daytona back in seventh. Jason Lottridge back in eighth. Brendan Pollock and Steve McDonald round out your top 10. Matt Kleeman, Andy Kurtz, Tyler Rice, Matt Knights, and Garrett Kinder round out the rest of the field here in the Grand National Series, as we got another, what we like to call in the business, a pit party going on. All these cars lining up on pit road, trying to get some drafting practice underway. Of course, we want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight on Intensity Broadcasting. Again, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or Twitch, don't forget to hit that like button, follow, and subscribe. Get notified anytime we go live here on Intensity Broadcasting. Also, don't forget to check out our web store. Down below is a link. You can find Intensity gear, as well as hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs, not just of Intensity Broadcasting, but some of your favorite leagues. And Atlee Atman Weese's Bandolero merchandise is there as well. So you can check that out at intensitybroadcasting.com. Also, last thing, we got a new sponsor for the broadcast, and we'd like to thank Butt Kicker for coming on board. Butt Kicker is an established and trusted leader in haptics. The award-winning line of Butt Kicker haptic transducers lets us feel low-frequency sounds. Butt Kicker brand products are used and endorsed all around the world by leading PC and console gamers, including professional sim racers worldwide. Butt Kicker products' patent design makes them incredibly accurate, powerful, and virtually indestructible. Gamers Plus is a new and upgraded sim racing and gaming haptic hardware that reproduces immersive, accurate, and powerful sim racing, flight sim, and gaming effects. Check out their full line of Butt Kicker products and figure out which one is right for you. Visit thebuttkicker.com. We hear some more wrecking out there on track. It looks like Jonathan Cofield having some issues, but we know he's going to be fast here tonight. Cofield, one of the super speedway racers that's really shows up at these big tracks like this. We saw him at Daytona getting the win, and we'll be looking for him to have another great run here tonight as well. We see Tyler Rice, Sam Wedstein out on track, making some laps in that red, white, and blue velocity machine. Sam currently 14th on the leaderboard, but again, practice speeds don't really mean much here at Talladega. It's all about who you get hooked up with, who you can draft with, and where you are at the end. So practice has concluded. We're going to get ourselves into qualifying. 5 minutes to set 2 laps here. Lap times are right around that 50-second mark, so we'll see who our first drivers to get out on track. And we see Sam Wedstein, one of the first drivers to start rolling out onto the track. Again, Talladega Superspeedway, high-banked 2.66 mile track. the fastest super speedway. In fact, the fastest lap in NASCAR history came at this track. Sam had a little connection issue. Let's see who else is out on track. There's Jonathan Cofield running that high lane, trying to get that car wound out the best he can. Back in 1987, Bill Elliott set a time of 44.998 around this track, which comes out to just around 220 miles an hour. Which is a little less than 220. It's 212 miles an hour, excuse me. Of course, this track they run the restrictor plate, which is a plate that goes over the throttle body. It chokes back the air going into the throttle body to reduce horsepower, keeps these cars running at a slower pace than they could. Unrestricted. Rusty Wallace did a test back in 2004 and ran a lap of 216 miles an hour around the track. And as we know, a 747, which weighs hundreds of pounds, takes off about 160 miles an hour. So these cars doing over 200 miles an hour, it can definitely get these cars up in the air. So NASCAR had to do what they could to make the car safe. That's why they implemented the roof flaps and the hood flaps and the restrictor plate to keep these cars on the ground. And here on iRacing, we want to keep the cars on the ground as well, because we want to make sure that these drivers have the opportunity to continue to race on if something was to happen. Now, these drivers here in the Grand National Series do not have a reset, so you'll be seeing if anybody is involved in the big one, they will more than likely not be able to continue. And it's not if the big one's going to happen, but when the big one's going to happen. Because usually when these cars are in a pack like they are, as Jonathan Cofield goes top of the board, when these cars are in a big pack like they usually are, it's really easy for one car to get out of shape and pretty much wreck the entire field because of how tightly they're all packed together. So we'll be watching for that all night. Again, not if the big one happens, but when the big one happens. I'll have some other buzzwords I'll be using throughout the night as well, such as energy and drafting. If you're unfamiliar with super speedway racing, the draft is when you get a couple cars lined up, the lead car pushes the air out of the way for the cars behind, and the cars behind can get right up on that back bumper and help push and actually speed up the entire line of cars. These cars, though, with that big spoiler you see on the back end, yes, there's a plexiglass spoiler so the drivers can see through it. It's a nice tall spoiler. It creates a big air bubble on the back bumper of these cars, and the driver behind has to kind of break through that bubble to get to the back bumper to give a big push and get the lines moving. So we'll be watching for that tonight as well. And it can be beneficiary for the driver out in front, even just to drag his brake just a little bit to try to get hooked up with the car behind. So we'll be watching for who can work with who tonight the best and get themselves in a position to win here at Talladega Superspeedway. Again, as you see, that start-finish line way down past the tri-oval, and that's going to make for some interesting racing here tonight. We got about 10 seconds left here in qualifying. We see Matt Kleeman just went third fastest on the board. And we're going to get ready to go over our starting lineup here at Talladega Superspeedway. Oh, the wrong logo popped up on the screen. I apologize for that, but we see Jonathan Cofield getting the pole here tonight. He wins the Peg Leg Felts Pole Award here tonight. Mike Kosick's going to start in the second position. Row 2 will find Matt Kleeman and Greg Barnett, followed by Tyler Rice and Aaron Adcock back in row number 3. Steve McDonald and William Griffith in the 12 will be in row 4, followed by Brendan Pollock and Jason Lotridge rounding out your top 10. '11th will be the 13 of Garrett Kinder and Daniel Cunningham back in the 12th position. 13th will be Eddie Smith, and Mickey Isaac in 14th, followed by Charles Stevens Jr., Jonah Colbert back in row number 8. And row 9, the father-son duo of Sam Wettstein and Zach Wettstein. Again, I do apologize for the wrong logo being up on the screen. Want to check my other logos real quick to make sure that these were right, which they are. Perfect. As we get ready for these drivers to take on Talladega Superspeedway. And pace car is rolling. Of course, as I mentioned, Talladega Superspeedway, 2.66 miles. High banked corners. Turns 1 and 2 are banked at 33 degrees. Turns 3 and 4 are banked at 32.5 degrees. Tri-oval banked at 16.5 degrees in the backstretch. Banked at 3 degrees. We see the weather. It's cloudy out here tonight. Low humidity, low temperature. These cars are going to be incredibly fast here tonight. So watch for the speeds that these drivers are going to have as they make their way around this tricky 2.66 mile super speedway. And I say tricky because these cars are going to move around a ton in the draft. You'll see these cars wiggle side to side. Also, they'll be using the side draft. What that is you can actually get right beside the car next to you and dump all the air that's coming off your car like a wake onto their spoiler to slow them down. So watch for these drivers pinching each other down a little bit tonight. And we'll see who here has the most friends to get themselves up to the front. I see Stacy Passons and Paul Passons as well watching at home. We thank you guys for watching here tonight on Intensity Broadcasting. As the field makes their way off of turn number 4. Pace car takes that hard left-hand turn on the pit road. See the field making their way down to the tri-oval. Jonathan Cofield looking for that green flag, and there it is. Green flag is in the air. We are racing here at Talladega Superspeedway. So some cars slowly get up to speed, making their way down into turn number 1. It takes these cars about a lap and a half to get up to full speed here, as they're still making their way through the gears off of turn number 2. The bottom lane already getting single file. Top lane not quite as organized. So we're going to see the energy here on the bottom side, as the first car up on the high side is the 8 of Mike Kosick. Yeah, he's looking for some help from Greg Barnett to move themselves forward here tonight. Thought Matt Kleeman thought about jumping up to the high side for a moment, but he's going to stay right there tucked in behind Jonathan Cofield as they come across the line for the first time. Or second time, excuse me. Cofield's going to lead that lap as well. We already see everybody kind of getting single file. They know it's a long race, 50 laps here tonight. No reset, so they're doing everything they can to be conservative here and keep themselves in a position to be there at the end. Sometimes you might see drivers falling all the way to the back to stay out of the mess. Because again, it's not if the big one happens, it's when the big one happens. And when I talk about energy, that's the lane that's moving. Right now, you see that bottom lane all lined up as Matt Kleeman makes a move up to the high side. He's going to bring Tyler Rice with him, and the two of those are going to have some energy now as Jonathan Cofield has no help on the bottom. Now here comes Steve McDonald to offer some help on the low side, but it's not enough as Matt Kleeman and Tyler Rice are going to move into positions 1 and 2 as they make their way through turns 1 and 2 and down on the backstretch. And again, these cars moving around quite a bit, even on the straightaways. The cars actually handle better in the turns than they do on the straightaways, and that's because these cars are moving through a ton of air. Think about a boat going through the water, that big wake of air that comes off these cars. As well as when they're in the corner, they're loaded down. All the downforce and the centrifugal force keeps those cars down in the pavement, so the car really feels stable and in the track in the corners. On the straightaways, not so much. We can bring you right into the thick of things here as we ride along with Aaron Adcock. And you can see just how much these cars are actually moving around on track. As we've got some 3-wide racing up here as well. See the 12 of William Griffith up on the high side. Now it looks like he's trying to tuck back down in line, but it looks like a couple cars were trying to make that high lane work. Fortunately, everybody's going to check up, get back in line, and regroup as now we've got some 3-wide up at the front. Tyler Rice got a little out of shape. Brandon Pollock falling all the way to the back of the pack. He said, I've had enough of this. It was a little too aggressive for this early in the race. I'm going to fall back in line and run this out. We see Garrett Kinder doing exactly that, leading this second pack right now, which is not very organized. As Griff still trying to work up on that third lane all by himself out there. Sam Wetstein already up into the top 10, gaining 9 positions, put himself in the 8th position currently. So some big movers currently in the field. As Jonathan Cofield has now retaken the lead with a push from Steve McDonald. Matt Kleeman and Tyler Rice fall back into 5th and 6th respectively. There's a lot of moving and shaking here at Talladega. You'll see these drivers. It's really easy to go from 17th, the 5th, the 12th, the 3rd, to 17th in a matter of 5 laps. So we'll see who's going to stay riding in line, who's going to try to make some moves, as we see Griff still up there on the high side all by himself, trying to find a way to slot in between somebody here, because being up there all by himself is not where you want to be. Not just is he burning a ton of gas up there by himself, but he's losing time. But now he's got a friend in Garrett Kinder jumping up to the high side here with him, and a couple other drivers going as well. So we see Kinder, it's Jason Lottridge and Charles Stevens Jr. jumping up to the high side to offer some help. Sorry, that's not Junior. That is Daniel Cunningham in the 54 jumping up there on the high side to offer some help. And now that we've got a couple of cars lined up on the high side, we'll see if they can make some movement towards the front. Looks like Aaron Adcock was trying to jump up in front of this group, but He thought better of it, tucked back in line. As Griffin Kinder got that hooked up on the high side. And they're trying to get going up towards the front. And that's what you need. You need to have those two cars hooked up together as Aaron Adcock now jumps up to the high side. Griff going to tuck back in line. He's going to push that 23 towards the front. Now that top line, much more organized. They have the energy up on the high side. They're able to move forward. As we see that bottom lane, we see all those gaps there in the line. That's going to slow down that bottom lane. As we see Aaron Adcock now challenging for the lead as they come down the backstretch. Oh! Adcock gets turned. We've got the big one here on the backstretch. Kinder is in it. Steve McDonald involved. Hard contact there. For, I believe, that was the... Was that Eddie Smith or Jonah Colbert? Jonah Colbert looks like he made it through. And that's going to bring up our first Kinder Farm and Ranch Wreckage Rewind. So we're going to watch this one from the helicopter view here. See the pack making their way off of turn number 2. And we see Aaron Adcock, Griffith trying to get him to the front. And Griff just gives a push onto the right side, which unfortunately turns that 23 around and over. Griff gets down into Cofield. And then everybody starts piling in. Sam Wetstein diving down to the bottom. He makes contact with Greg Barnett. There's the hard impact. That is Tyler Rice slamming the outside wall head on. And we just have a mess here on the backstretch. And it just happens so fast. You don't expect it to happen. Right along here with Aaron Adcock. See the ride that he took just out of nowhere. Just can't do anything about it. Just a victim along for the ride at that point. Here's the view from Griff. Just makes a bad push right there, and you see from then it's just on. You're a passenger at that point, and a lot of cars involved in this one. Everybody makes their way down pit road. See, Jonah Colbert doesn't look like he has any damage on his car. Same with the, I believe that's Eddie Smith. Got through that one pretty clean. And I'm wondering, because it is a super speedway, if anybody does have resets here tonight, because it looks like a couple of these cars are coming back on track pretty clean. See Garrett Kinder and Jason Lotridge on track. Let's take a look. Daniel Cunningham. Yeah, these drivers do not have resets. It just looks like a couple cars were able to sneak through there without getting any damage. So Matt Kleeman is your leader. Getting through there cleanly. Eddie Smith runs back in second. Doesn't look like there's any damage on his car. Jonah Colbert back in third. Charles Stevens Jr. back in fourth, and Mickey Isaac in fifth. So that second pack that fell off and was kind of hanging out towards the back, they were able to avoid this big one. And Jonathan Cofield has a pretty clean car. I thought he was involved in that one pretty well. Stacy Adcock says that's Dega for you. Absolutely. That is Dega for you. Just what happens at these super speedways. Unfortunately, not much you can do about it. As you see Garrett Kinder getting back out on track in a car that looks like a Whelen modified. So lights are off on the pace car. We're going to re-rack them, restack them, and get ready to refire them. Matt Kleeman will be your control car down on the low side. Again, with the start-finish line being so far around the tri-oval from almost onto the front stretch, we'll see that restart zone in the middle of the tri-oval, so watch that as these drivers get down to the Geico restart zone. Remember, the leader has to restart within the zone. If he starts too early or anybody passes him before that zone, they will be black flagged. He can choose to start anywhere inside that zone once he starts accelerating. The green flag will come out. If he does not accelerate inside the restart zone, then the green flag will come out and we'll resume racing with or without the leader. So again, we want to thank everybody who's joining us here tonight live, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitch. We do appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Kleeman leads them back down to the restart zone. Green flags back in the air. We are back racing here at Talladega. And a big jump for Matt Kleeman, which is not what you want to see at a track here like Talladega. Because the name of the game is having friends. And here comes Eddie Smith with Jonah Colbert right behind. See if they're able to get around Kleeman. No, they're going to stay tucked in line. As the first 5 cars lined up on the bottom. Then we got 3 cars jumping up to the high side. Led by Mike Kosick and the 58 of Jonah Cofield. They're just not going to have enough momentum, the two of them, to get going, so they're going to tuck back in line. And Cofield really wants to go up to that high side, but just doesn't have anybody who wants to go out there with him. Now one car sliding out to the high side. That is Brandon Pollock in the 4 machine. He's out there all alone by himself. He's going to have to fall back to the back. When we cross the line this time, we'll be starting lap 15 of 50. Don't forget, green flag pit stops still have to come. Drivers will be able to make it to about, I'm going to guess, around lap 40. And at Talladega, any super speedway, you want to make sure to pit with a friend. As now, see Kosick jumping up to the high side. He's got Jonathan Cofield with him. It looks like one other car. I believe that is Greg Barnett back there as well. Now it's just the 2 cars on the high side. Cofield and Kosick. See if they can make something happen by themselves out there. See the 88 of Charles Stevens Jr. come up the track a little bit, use a little side draft, try to slow that top lane down. And it works as they're starting to slide back. They're going to have to tuck back in behind the 88. Now Kosick using his own side draft there, trying to pull that top line forward, pull that bottom line backwards. Just 8 cars in this lead pack. Then you have to go about 6 seconds back to find our second pack here with Greg Barnett and Sam Wetstein, which are running about 2 seconds a lap slower than our leaders. Just the two of them compared to these 8 cars that are pretty much lined up. Brandon Pollock jumps up on that high lane. He's going to try to get those 3 cars on that high side moving forward. Typically, it takes about 3 cars lined up to get a run going. And now that they have that, they're pretty close together as opposed to the bottom lane, which is now starting to separate a little bit. Eddie Smith not really pushing on the back bumper of Matt Kleeman. And Kosick has Jonathan Cofield right there on the back bumper, pushing as hard as he can. Great view off the back bumper of Mike Kosick as you see. You can see through the car because they're pushing on each other so hard. And that's the push that you want to give to continue to move that car forward. I also see the 54 of Daniel Cunningham, who's got a lot of damage to the front of that car. But he's able to keep right up with these boys. Has not lost the draft yet. He's kind of just hanging back here, trying to stay in touch with this front group. Now that top line loses all their momentum as they start to break up just a little bit. Kosick's going to have to tuck back in line behind Charles Stevens Jr. And Matt Kleeman continues the lead here at Talladega. Don't forget to join us. Well, it's not going to be Sunday night. The Original Rebels Racing League is taking this Sunday off for the holiday. So we will not have any racing here on Sunday night on Intensity Broadcasting. We will have some racing, though, back on Monday nights as the SCSRA will be starting up their road series. Tuesday nights, we're going to have the doubleheader yet again as they make their way around the injured car of Jason Lottridge. We'll have our Tuesday night truck doubleheader with the Doghouse Racing League, followed by the SCSRA Truck Series. Wednesday night, SCSRA Xfinity Series. Friday night is the Grand National Series, so tune in either here on Facebook, on YouTube, or Twitch. It's absolutely amazing to me that Daniel Cunningham is able to keep into this pack with as much damage as there is to the front of that car. See that front end's pushed in pretty well. Usually that's a sign that you're not getting as much air to the radiator as you'd like. And typically that causes the car to overheat, especially running in the draft where there's not as much air going through that radiator to begin with. But he's able to keep right up and actually do keep out in front of the 8 of Mike Kosick, who showed some speed earlier in the race. Take a look here. Right along with Brandon Pollock, we can see just how much banking there is here at Talladega Superspeedway, right along with the gyro cam. And this is what 34.5 degrees of banking looks like. It really pushes those cars down into the track. That's why I said earlier these cars handle so much better in the corners than they do on the straightaways. And that's one of the reasons is just how much banking there is at this track. Oh, Charles Stevens Jr. washes up the track just a little bit. Brandon Pollock thought about making the move underneath, but knew it was just a little too early to make any kind of aggressive moves like that. Now he's going to move up to the high side, let the field go by, and possibly get into a little bit of a fuel-saving mode here. Again, we know these drivers are going to have to pit one more time at least. So if they're able to save a little fuel here, that can either A, make the pit stop a little quicker, or B, maybe save enough to make it to the end. We cross the line this time, we'll be halfway. We're seeing these drivers come up on, well, it looks like the front line starting to run a little higher lane. Maybe trying to pull away from the group behind it just a little bit. They are starting to separate themselves. Now Matt Kleeman running on the low side. Eddie Smith and Jonah Colbert running a little bit higher lanes. Now the field getting single file yet again. Field is getting ready to come up on the lap cars of Steve McDonald and Garrett Kinder. We see them making their way off of turn number 2 as the field is just entering turn number 2. So just a couple laps, those guys will be going a lap down unless the caution was to come out. Shappy says, insert the races on by Sawyer Brown. I believe that would be a copyright infringement and would cause the stream to be pulled down as the field makes their way around 12 of William Griffith. field still try to pretty much stay single file, keeping themselves in a safe place where they're not going to have a chance to cause a big wreck again. Again, just 8 cars in this lead pack, led by Matt Kleeman, Eddie Smith, and Jonah Cobert. And lap times have really fallen down. So the fastest lap that Kleeman's run tonight was a 48.74. And this last time by, they ran a 51.45, which tells me that all these drivers right now are in fuel-saving mode, trying to make it to the end without having to pit again, and racing it out here at the end. Now everybody's making their way down on the pit road. One car stays out. That's the 4 of Brandon Pollock. But everybody else making their way down on the pit road, and that's bad news for Pollock, as he's out there running all by himself. He's not going to have the same speed that the field will have. You see everybody coming down to their pit stalls. Fuel only for just about everybody. Matt Kleeman gets out and away. Eddie Smith second. Charles Stevens Jr. gains a spot in the third. Charles Stevens and Daniel Cunningham. We'll see if Brandon Pollock comes down pit road this time, and he will not. He will stay out by himself. And he is going to be running incredibly slower than the rest of the field. As soon as this backpack gets all single file and lined back up, we're already seeing the speeds pick up. Last time by, Brandon Pollock by himself ran a 52.26. This time as they come across the line, the pack is running a 58.98, so they're just getting up the speed. It does take about a lap and a half for these drivers to get up to full speed. Looking at the actual speeds, you see Matt Kleeman running 194, 195 down the backstretch. But Brandon Pollock running by himself at 182. So almost 10-mile-an-hour difference running by yourself as opposed to running in the pack. And this is really going to hurt Brandon Pollock unless he's hoping for a caution to come out or something that can save him. Right now, the field, even though they're side by side in the back, still running over 10 miles an hour faster. So they make that almost 20 miles an hour faster. As Brandon Pollock's now running 170s, 176 by himself. And here comes the field approaching 200 miles an hour. So it's a bold strategy, but I don't think it's going to work out for him. But we'll see as the race continues. And we have just 17 laps to go. Coming to 16 laps to go when they cross the line. Field making their way around William Griffith yet again. But Brandon Pollock staying out there by himself. As a wise man once said, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. So, field quickly catching the 38 of Greg Barnett. Greg last pit on lap number 10, just as Brandon Pollock. And the field is approaching quickly, and we'll see just how much faster the field is all lined up compared to one car by himself. And you're seeing it right here, how quickly they're able to close up on the 38 of Greg Barnett as Brandon Pollock now makes his way down on the pit road. But you see that 15-mile-an-hour difference as they freight train the 38 of Greg Barnett. And Brandon Pollock still on pit road. He's going to lose everything he just gained being out there by himself. And with 15 laps to go, it's not quite go time for these guys just yet. Typically, they do wait until around 5 or so laps to go to really jump out there and make a move. Now you see Greg Barnett, because he was able to latch on to the back of the field here. Now he's able to keep up with this pack. And we've got a little break in the action. I do want to thank again our great new partner, Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker is an established and trusted leader in haptics. The award-winning line of Butt Kicker brand haptic transducers let you feel low-frequency sounds. The patent design makes it incredibly accurate, powerful, and virtually indestructible. The Gamer Plus is new and upgraded sim racing haptic speaker that produces immersive, accurate, and powerful sim racing, flight sim, and gaming effects. Check out the full line of Butt Kicker products and figure out which one is right for you. Visit www.thebuttkicker.com. So with about 12 laps to go, Matt Kleeman continues to lead over Eddie Smith and Jonah Colbert. Charles Stevens in there as well. And with separating Eddie Smith and Jonah Colbert, it's probably the best thing for the rest of the field. If those two can get hooked up here, it could be game over for everybody else. Those two teammates work so well together. Now when they cross the line, we're going to have just 10 laps to go. Matt Kleeman's had a couple connection blinks here. Let's hope that doesn't interfere with the race here. Hopefully he's able to stay in the race and not drop out and finish here tonight. See if he gets the win or if it's going to be somebody else. Again, because of where the start-finish line is located, it will be an exciting finish no matter what. Big question is, who's going to be the first one to make the move? Is it going to be someone like Eddie Smith or Charles Stevens Jr.? Is it going to come from further back like Mike Kosick or Jonathan Cofield? We know Cofield won at Daytona. He knows how to get around these super speedways. He's patient. He knows the right time to make the moves. We'll see if he continues to do that here tonight. And I just realized Greg Barnett is hanging on the tail end of this pack. He has not come down pit road yet. His last pit on lap number 10. As we see the 8 of Kosick and the 58 of Jonathan Cofield jumping up to the high side with just 8 laps to go. So they're thinking it's go time now. They're starting to make their moves here. We'll see if this pays off for them or if they made their move too early. Tucking back in line, just no one going with them, so not enough momentum to carry themselves up towards the front of the pack. As we come across the line this time, we'll have 7 laps to go. We go from this big historic track here at Talladega to one of the shorter, really historic tracks here on iRacing at North Wilkesboro next week. So don't forget to tune in next week for some short track racing here on Intensity Broadcasting. Then from North Wilkesboro, we move overseas to the Red Bull Ring road course. As we see Greg Barnett slowing down, he's going to make his way down on the pit road. So he did not have enough fuel to make it to the end. We got September 16th. We'll be racing at the Red Bull Ring, a little road course overseas over in Austria. And then finish up the regular season at Nashville Fairgrounds. And we'll have a playoff wildcard race at Twin Ring Motegi Oval, as we see Jonathan Cofield and Mike Kosick making another run at it on the high side. Seeing if anybody will go up there with them at this time. Nobody wants to. just 4 races away from the playoffs starting here on October 7th at Texas. These drivers trying to get a win and get into the playoffs here this season. And as they run right now, it looks like it's Matt Kleeman's race to lose. They are coming up on the lap car of Steve McDonald and Garrett Kinder. So we'll see if they're able to get around Kinder and McDonald without an issue. Or if somebody tries to take the air from one of those slower cars and use that draft to try to get up towards the front as well. Coming across the line this time, we have just 4 laps to go here. Just over 10 miles to go as Kinder and Steve McDonald gets side by side. You see Tyler Rice down on the low side, letting the field go. And here comes Cofield and Kosick again up on that high side, but losing a ton of momentum and a ton of track position to the rest of the field unless they're falling back to try to get a big run. Now you can do that too. You can fall back a little bit and get a huge run off the draft to be able to pull out and make a move here with just 3 laps to go. Dispatching some more lap traffic. That is Greg Barnett, who just went in on pit. He'll be able to latch right onto the back here and see if he's able to help Cofield and Kosick. Because at this point, he doesn't have a horse in the race. So maybe he can help somebody else get a win here tonight. Two laps to go. And at this point of the race, Matt Kleeman's going to be looking in his mirror more than he's going to be looking out that windshield. And trying to see if a run comes, who he's got to block, what lane, as they come up on the lap car of Brandon Pollock. Pollock might be able to join this group here and make something happen as well. So Pollock and Barnett are both running for position here. So as well as the lucky dog if the yellow was to come out before the white flag. But Kleeman's going to come down across the tri-oval. White flag will be in the air. Here comes Cofield and Kosick up on the high side. Final lap. See if they're able to make their way up towards the front. If anybody else pulls out and makes a move. If they do, we'll be off of turn number 2 as they come through turn number 1 and off the turn number 2. Does anybody jump up to that high side? No, everybody stays down in line. Here comes Cofield and Kosick up on the high side. They do have some help now from behind in the form of the 38. I'm sorry, that's the 4 of Brandon Pollock. Still a lot of race to go. Side by side, Jonah Colbert gets shuffled out of line. He's going to get pulled back as they come to the tri-oval. Eddie Smith tucked right there on the bumper of Matt Kleeman. Is he going to make a move to the outside? He's going to stay tucked in line, and Matt Kleeman will win here at Talladega. Eddie Smith comes home second. Charles Stevens Jr. in third. Daniel Cunningham and Jonah Colbert round out your top 5. But your winner tonight is the 19 of Matt Kleeman. As Kleeman comes down to the front stretch, he's going to celebrate his victory at the start-finish line. As the rest of the field comes in and offers their celebration. Of course, while they're celebrating, we can go over the Cofield Asphalt Refinishing Hard Luck Award of the night. And that's going to go to pretty much the entire field back on lap number 9. As the entire field gets caught up in this early wreck. That is your Cofield Asphalt Refinishing Tough Luck Award. As we get ready, take a look at the finishing order. Again, Matt Kleeman is your winner here tonight. Eddie Smith comes home second. Charles Stevens Jr. in third. Daniel Cunningham and Jonathan Cofield round out your top 5. Jonah Colbert comes home sixth. Mike Kosick, Greg Barnett, Brandon Pollock, Steve McDonald round out your top 10. Garrett Kinder brings it home 11th. 12th is William Griffith. 13th, Tyler Rice. Sam Wetstein and Jason Lottridge make up your top 15. 16th, Mickey Isaac, Aaron Adcock 17th, and Zach Wetstein finishes out the field here in the 18th position. As we get ready to talk to your top 3 drivers. Starting with your third place finisher, Charles Stevens Jr. Charles, you got Josh up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, man.
Man, great job tonight coming home in third. Wild race out there tonight, though, it seemed, at the beginning. Then everything kind of just calmed down there towards the end. Talk us through the last couple laps. So it looked like everybody was real content, just kind of running. Nobody was making any big moves. Was it just that it was just too tough to make a pass out there tonight?
It was with the side draft, but we came in this, and after that, when everyone got single fired out, Matt was up front, and us and JC Motorsports was like, hey, let's see what we could do and get Matt his first win. And he's a hell of a guy, man, week in and week out, and just well liked. So he was like, we're just gonna work with him, and we'll get him his first win. So we was content riding in the line there and keeping the bandits behind us.
For sure, and that's exactly how it worked out for you guys here tonight. And you talk about the strategy, but nailing that pit stop was a big part of it too. I know you all went in at the same time, and usually when a big group of drivers comes into the pits at the same time, it's usually a disaster, but you guys were able to work through it pretty well. But that's got to be a nerve-wracking part of the race as well, coming in on those green flag pit stops.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like I said, we worked together as a team very well, and we all basically knew like, okay, the first 2 guys coming in, you stay left, I stay to the wall. Second row, you stay to the left, I stay to the wall, and like I said, we had it all planned out multiple laps before we made that pit stop, and like I said, we just capitalized on it, and it worked out for us.
Well, getting that podium here tonight feels pretty good. Get you good points tonight as well. Before you let you go, anyone you want to thank, any shots you got to give here tonight, Charles?
Just everyone in JC Motorsports, man. Like just working well with each other between Daniel, Eddie, Jonah, and just everyone that raced tonight. And like I said, just you, Josh, for broadcasting with intensity, and just Griff and everyone that keeps this league together and runs it day in and day out. And last but not least, my wife and son and my family for supporting me.
Awesome, man. Well, again, congratulations and good luck next week at North Wilkesboro.
Thanks, Josh.
So that was your third place finisher, Charles Stevens Jr. Let's bring in your second place finisher, the King, Eddie Smith. Eddie, you got Josh up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Josh.
Man, solid run for you tonight. Kind of played that little strategy of hanging back towards the back, avoiding the big wreck, and then being there at the end. Was that the strategy from the get-go, or was that just kind of how the cards fell and getting shuffled a little?
Well, first, I'm glad that you're here and you're broadcasting. I hope you're back feeling better, man. Yeah, no, there's no strategy here. I just figured with about 16 cars, you can kind of take it easy. And, man, we took it too easy and ended up losing the draft. And definitely didn't want to do that. And, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Got to miss the big wreck and didn't get any damage out of it. And when we came out of that pit stop, wound up second. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think there was much strategy that we had planned. Definitely didn't plan it. Just some luck there. Because, like I said, we were, me, Jonah, and Mickey Isaac, we were kind of in trouble there. So, just kind of lucky that it all played out like it did.
For sure. And then those pit stops there, those green flag pit stops that you guys made as a big group. I said to Charles, I'll say it to you too, is usually when you get that big group of guys coming down on the pit road, it can get kind of hairy, but you guys seem to navigate it pretty well. Was it just a matter of everybody kind of taking it easy there, or what was the strategy coming in there?
Yeah, it's a fine line of getting as much as you can without giving up much, And I tell you, I tried to outbrake Matt going down into the pit road, but man, he was scorching them, and I thought he might have sped, but yeah, I mean, he did a great job. He got down on pit road, got off first, and these cars are just so hard to pass and really make a move. So, I mean, him getting that pit strategy coming out first and being able to stay after that green flag pit stops, and that was, I mean, he did a great job. Everybody did. So,
well, awesome job to you as well. Good points day. Extend that points lead. Before I let you go, though, anyone you want to thank? Shout out. Anyone you want to shout out here tonight?
Man, I want to shout out Matt Clement, man. He been a long time coming. Got him a win. Definitely deserved it. Drove a great race, man. Just wish need to be a little bit more cars in the field. At the end there, that big wreck kind of took a lot of the steam out of it. So, I want to thank all JC Motorsports guys, and thank you in the broadcast booth. A lot of fun. Always enjoy your broadcast, man.
Thanks, I appreciate that, and we look forward to how you think your chances are next week at North Wilkesboro.
I feel really good about North Wilkesboro. I love that track. I don't know about winning, but I feel good about going there and racing it. It's a lot of fun. So, anytime I can go race any car there, it'll be a lot of fun. So, looking forward to it.
Well, we look forward to seeing you wheel that car around the track next week. Good luck to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Josh.
As your second place finisher, Eddie Smith, let's bring in your winner tonight, the driver of the 19 machine, Matt Kleeman. Matt, you got Josh up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, Josh.
Man, great job here getting the win tonight, using the strategy to get on and off pit road as quick as you could to get out in front. It just seemed like no one had could get lined up there to get by you here tonight. First off, again, congratulations. And what was the strategy tonight? I know you were able to get through that big wreck there. Walk us through getting through that there.
Well, I had seen the 23 a couple of times. He really wanted the outside line. Whenever that outside line came up, he jumped up there. But everybody, I don't think, was expecting him when it happened. So I was just like, oh, here we go. More luck than anything. I just kept in the gas, and everybody just kind of parted. So I popped out the other side. I think I was third, got in on the caution lap, got gas. And whenever I popped out in the lead, I was like, oh, I've been here before. And it's usually teammates, they push you until they want to go. And then you get kind of left a little bit. But I got a big shout out to JC Motorsports tonight. Those guys locked on and just pushed.
For sure. And I know Eddie was saying it was very, very difficult to pass out there tonight. Being the leader, did that give you a little bit of confidence knowing how hard it is to pass with these cars?
Yeah. So earlier, I think it was second lap, third lap, I jumped to the outside and co-filled. Whenever me and I'm trying to remember who latched onto me, but when we dropped back down, co-filled side drafted us, and then the three Bandits teammates got lined up and they just blew right past us. So it was going to be who could side draft the best. But the second the JC guys said, "Hold her steady," I was like, "Okay, we're gone." So I knew they're going to have a tough job trying to get around all 5 of them.
Well, getting that elusive win here tonight, congratulations on that. How do you like your chances next week at North Wilkesboro, going from this big super speedway to that short little bull ring?
Decent. I actually like North Wilkesboro. If I can stay out of the mess, that's the biggest thing. Is the guy that wants to cut it underneath and gas off a 2, and they end up pushing you out into the wall. That's what you got to worry about.
For sure. And before we let you go, anyone you want to thank, any shots you got to give here tonight?
I've already said it a couple of times, but I can't thank those guys enough. JC Motorsports pushing me to this one. I had a couple of other teammates out there, Greg Barnett and Pollock, but JC Motorsports, stand up guys. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. That locks you into the playoffs. So that's another good feeling here tonight. So again, congratulations. And we look forward to seeing what you're going to do next week at North Wilkesboro.
All right. Appreciate you.
Have a great night. There you have it. Your winner, Matt Kleeman, as we get ready to move on to North Wilkesboro next week. Again, we want to thank everybody who makes this possible. Everybody over at the Original Rebels Racing League, as well as Cofield Asphalt Refinishing, Dark Horse Motorsports, Chuck Pegleg Felts, JC Race Graphics, and the Rebels Racing Network, all helping out here on Intensity Broadcasting. Of course, we also want to thank Butt Kicker for signing on here with Intensity Broadcasting. If you're looking for that little extra feel in the seat of your pants, check out thebuttkicker.com and look up all the great products that they have for all your sim racing haptic needs. Again, my name's Josh Hall. Again, congratulations to Matt Kleeman once again on a fantastic race, getting the win. Congratulations to everybody who's able to get it done here tonight. Of course, we look forward again to next week at North Wilkesboro. No racing on Sunday night, so we'll see you back here on Tuesday night for the truck doubleheader with the Doghouse Racing League and the SCSRA Truck Series. Again, check out IntensityBroadcasting.com. It really does help us out. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. That does help us out as well. And as our boy Atlee Atman Luis would say, over